Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My last video was for our Hindi audience and this video is having the same content as it was in Hindi, but this is for our English audience. So let's start with today's video. So guys, in today's video we'll discuss about build tool, what is build tool, and some introduction about build tools and how many kinds of build tools are available in market. And we'll also discuss one of the build tool, that is Maven build tool, and we'll also see how we can install Maven on our machine. After that, we'll see how we can build, test and deploy a sample application, and this application is going to deploy on Tomcat. So we'll also see how we can install Tomcat, and once Tomcat is getting installed, post completion of that, we'll deploy a sample application. So guys, this is basically the build tools. What is build tools? So build tools are commonly known as programs that automate the process of building an executable application from source code. So in simple words, we can understand that the code that is provided from developer side it is in raw form. So we cannot deploy that raw code to our servers. In order to deploy that raw code to our server, we firstly need to make it in executable format so that it can be deployed to our server. So this build process is basically to convert raw code into executable which can be deployed to server. So this complete process is called a build process. So this building process includes various activities like compiling of code, linking of code, packaging of the code, and after that it will make it into an executable form. So what we can say, the raw code will get converted into a bundle by using these build tools. So there are multiple build tools available in market, just like we have Apache Ant, Apache Maven, we have Gradle, and there are multiple other tools available in market. So it depends upon the requirement that what we are going to build. We need to choose the right build tool. So in our today's video, we'll see Apache Maven as a build tool. So what Maven basically is, Maven is one of the build tool that is based on POM. POM is basically known as project object model. So Maven is one of the tools that we mainly use for Java based project. Developer provide us source code and also the test cases. Along with that, they also gave us one file which is known as pom.xml. So as a DevOps engineer, we don't need to worry about code because code will get provided from developer side. We are here responsible in order to automate the process. So they'll just provide us the raw code. So in that code, we'll be having source code along with test cases and this pom.xml file. So this pom.xml file is basically the file that we're going to use in order to create our pipeline in Jenkins, and everything is written in this pom.xml file, just like which tool we need to use for different stages. Actually, whenever we build process, then in that kind of build process we have multiple stages during the build. So Maven basically reads this pom.xml file and resolves the dependencies of the project. So what is basically the dependency? Suppose if you are building a code that is Java based code using Maven, so Maven will read your pom.xml, and in that pom.xml it will see that different tool is used for different stages. So I'll discuss in my later slides that what all stages we use in case of build process. So what Maven will do, Maven will check whether the dependencies that are required in order to build this code is present on the machine locally, and if it is present, then it will take those dependency from local machine. But if those dependencies are not available locally on the machine, then Maven will check on Maven repository and it will download those dependencies and will make it available to local machine. And next time when we will execute Maven, it will not go to Maven repository and download those dependency, rather it will check locally and it will be able to found on your local machine, and then it will start doing that build process. So the same thing is written here also. Just like Maven validates if the dependencies are available locally, if not, then it will download it from the internet or from some place where it is defined in the Maven configurations. So now let's discuss what is software build process. There are multiple phases during software build process. So different tool is used for each phase, and which tool is used for which phase, everything is defined under pom.xml. So later in slides, I'll show you what is there in pom.xml so that we can have a brief idea about pom.xml. So just wait for a few minutes. I'll come to that slide. Then I'll discuss what is pom.xml. So we'll build one sample application also in this video, and following tools is getting used. So for compilation, GCC compiler is getting used. For code reviewing, we can either use PMD or SonarQube. In our example, we'll be using PMD, that is basically a programming mistake detector. And for test cases, all the test cases that are provided from developer side is written in JUnit. And test case reports will get generated using Surefire plugin. Code coverage will be done using Cobertura plugin, and packaging of the application will be done using a command ambient package, and it will create a war file, which is basically the package, or we can say executable, that we are going to deploy to our Tomcat server. So now let's understand what is there in software code that is provided by developer. So whenever we get a request to create a pipeline, and in order to create a build request along with deployment, then the code that is provided from development team side is having one source folder, src, you can see in screenshot also. We have one pom.xml file, and inside this src folder we have two another folder which is named as main folder and test folder. So main folder is basically the folder that contains Java source code, and test folder mainly contains test cases that are written in JUnit in our case. So when we'll use this pom.xml, then it will actually using the source code, along with that it will use the main folder as well as test folder in order to build the code. So we just need to understand that what all things is getting provided from developer side. So this source code is getting provided from developer side, which is having main folder and test folder, and this main folder is having Java source code, test folder is having test cases written inside it. Okay, so this is basically our pom.xml file that is provided from development team side. So here you can clearly see that it is having one section as PMD. So this we are going to use, and it will be using that Maven PMD plugin. So if that is not present on your local machine, then it will get downloaded from Maven repository, which is known as repo central. You'll see when we'll execute that using Jenkins pipeline. And in the testing section you can see like JUnit it is mentioned, so all test cases are written in JUnit. For reporting, we can see that Surefire report plugin is there, so if it is there in local machine it will not get download, but if it is not there it will get it download from repo central. And we are also using here Cobertura plugin. So pom.xml file looks like this, and all the things and dependencies are defined inside this particular pom.xml file. Okay, so now let's understand what Maven commands will do when we'll execute them one by one. So we'll basically use three commands: ambient compile, ambient test, ambient package. All three commands can be executed with the help of a single command, that is Maven mvn clean install. But I have just separate out these three commands so that I can show you how this build process is getting done, and how that single command invoke in the backend these three commands to make things available in order to make build successful. So when we'll execute this ambient compile command, what it will do, it will generate a new folder as a target folder, and inside that folder it will create one classes folder. So as our code is written in Java, so it will create dot class folders inside this target directory, and that is basically a compilation process. Using this ambient compile command, it will compile our Java source code. Second command that will execute is ambient test command. So ambient test command, it will generate a surefire reports folder under the same target folder, and which will contains our test case reports, like what all test cases are passed, what all test cases are failed. So complete report related to test cases will get saved under this folder. The third command that we'll use is ambient package command post completion of ambient test command, because now our code is successfully compiled and test, and after that we are ready to get it packaged. So it will create a example.war file or any file with war extension, and which is basically the file that we are going to deploy on our Tomcat server. So in this way, we'll use Maven build tool in order to build our Java code. Okay, so now let's discuss a brief about Tomcat if anybody is not aware about what Tomcat is. So let's discuss in a brief what Tomcat is. So Tomcat is basically a popular open source web server and servlet container for Java code. And Apache Tomcat by default runs on 8080 port. So we need to open this particular port in our networking section. But one thing we need to get remember, as our Jenkins also runs on 8080 port, and if we are installing Apache Tomcat along with Jenkins on the same machine, then 8080 port conflict will get occur when we'll install Tomcat post completion of Jenkins. So it is better to change the port either of Jenkins or Tomcat server so that there should not be any chances of port conflict. So what we'll do, we'll make 8080 port as it is for Jenkins, but we'll change it for Apache Tomcat and we'll change it from 8080 to 8081. So I'll use a command, SED command, that is a streamline editor command, in order to make changes to the port number of Apache Tomcat that I'll show you in these commands. So following commands we'll use in order to install Apache Tomcat server. So those who are new to Linux, it will be difficult to understand these commands, but those who have a bit background of Linux, they'll be able to understand, but I'll try to make it understand to those guys who are new to Linux that what these commands are doing. So basically the very first command that we need to do in order to install Apache, firstly we need to install Java. So first two commands are to install Java on the machine. So sudo apt update is to just update the packages on that particular machine. Sudo apt install default gre -y is a command in order to install the gre package for your Java. Once you will execute both of these commands, then you can check with java-version command whether Java has been installed or not. Once Java is getting installed, post completion of that, we'll just create one directory. So mkdir is basically a command in order to create a directory, and -p is basically the switch in order to create a parent hierarchy. So what is parental hierarchy means? Just like if you want to create a folder like Tomcat folder under home cloud admin, I'll create a user cloud admin in this particular example. So I'm using this /home/cloud admin directory because whenever we'll create a user, a home directory of that user will get create. And after that, you can see that there are two folders, Tomcat and Tomcat 1. So if you are only creating one folder like Tomcat, there is no need of -p switch. But if you are creating folder within folder and both are new folder, in that case, you need to make this parental switch on in order to make this folder within folder successfully created. Once that is done, we need to change permission of this particular directory. So 755, so these are basically three permission you can say. So first letter or first digit is basically for the user or owner you can say, second is for the group, and third is for the others. So we use the numbers 4 to 1. 4 is for read, 2 is for write, 1 is for execute. So 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. So owner will be having the complete permission, and while others and group will have 4 plus 1, that is 5. So they will be only having read and execute permission. They don't have write permission to this Tomcat 1 directory. And cd is basically to change the directory. If we want to come to this particular directory, we need to change the directory, so we'll use the cd command. Then wget is basically the command if you want to download anything from a particular URL. So we'll download the star package from this Tomcat official website, and once it is getting installed, then we need to untar this particular file. So what is tar? Tar is just like zip we have in Windows, and just like we do unzip in case of Linux, we do untar. So in order to untar this particular tar, we need to use a command tar-xzvf. So X is for extracting, Z because it's a ZZ package. So in order to make ZZ back to tar, and then V and then F forcefully version verbose and then F forcefully. So this will make it convert to the package Apache-Tomcat-8.5.224, and this star and gz will get removed. So this will basically be the directory where we'll have all the binaries of Apache inside it. Next command is chown command. So here we are changing permission of this particular directory, that is Apache Tomcat 8.5.24, to cloud admin. So first is basically the owner, second is basically the group. Guys, you need to run these commands in the same sequence, because if you'll not do, then your Apache Tomcat will not get successfully up in the end. And this is the file tomcat-user.xml file. So in this file we need to make some correction. I'll show you in my next slide what correction we are doing here. So what I did, I corrected these files and just put it on my GitHub repository. From there I'll firstly get cloned to machine, and then I'll place this particular file to the original file that is placed inside this Apache Tomcat conf directory. So it will get replaced with the edited file that I have placed on GitHub. And we also need to make some correction in content.xml file also, and we'll replace it with the file that is available in our Tomcat binaries. Once that is done, we'll use this particular command in order to start Apache Tomcat. So when we do a manual installation, we use these commands, but when we do from Jenkins, then there are slightly different things, because whenever we do anything from Jenkins, then a particular user Jenkins do all these things. So we need to make correction according to that user. We also need to make that particular Jenkins user more privileged, so that Jenkins can do different kind of things. Okay, so that I'll show you in my next slides, that how we can make those changes and how we can make Jenkins more privileged user. Okay, so the very first file that we need to edit is tomcat-users.xml. So we need to actually make one username and password, so that whenever Tomcat get installed, then it will pop up for username and password. We need to provide the same username and password, and then we'll get logged into that Tomcat portal. And we need to assign roles like manager GUI, admin GUI, and manager script. These roles should be assigned to this particular user, so that we can make our this particular example successfully execute and we can access the application successfully. So in order to make this kind of addition, we need to make this file edited in this way. So I have made these all changes on the files and placed on my GitHub. So directly we'll copy it or download it from there, and we replace it with the original files that got downloaded with Apache binaries. And second is the context.xml. So in this file we just need to hash out this particular entry with the help of this angle bracket along with not, and then hyphen hyphen, then hyphen hyphen, and this angle bracket, so or arrow you can say. So in this way we need to edit these two files. Once these two files are getting edited, then we need to replace it with the original files. Okay, so now we'll see how we'll create a Jenkins pipeline. So those who are aware about pipeline, they'll easily get what I'm going to tell you in this slide. But those who are new, so it will be a new thing, so just understand these things. Those who just think that it is not easy to create a pipeline in Jenkins, so now they'll easily understand the things and they can create pipeline by themselves. So we are going to discuss Jenkins declarative pipeline. We have two types of pipeline here, like scripted or declarative, but I mainly use the declarative one, because scripted one is the one that appears to be more complex and it's a bit difficult to understand. But in case of declarative, we just declare the syntax and everything gets taken care by the declarative syntax. So we'll start this pipeline code with pipeline and then angle bracket agent any. Agent any means if you just want to execute this on the same machine where Jenkins is running, but if you want to execute this code on some other machine, then what you need to do, you need to define label here. So what we'll do, we'll remove this line agent any, and then we'll place label space label name of your slave, the machine that you have created as a slave. You can place that slave label here, and all this code will get executed to that slave machine rather than Jenkins master. But we'll execute this particular example on Jenkins master only. So we just need to place agent any here, so that it will get executed to Jenkins master successfully. And then as a pipeline syntax, we need to write stages. Inside stages, we need to define stage, what all stage is required. So very first stage we'll use as a checkout code. So this stage is basically used to check out code from the GitHub repository, and this is basically the code that we can generate in our pipeline generate section. And that I'll going to create one more video where I'll try to explain how we can create this all syntax of Jenkins pipeline. But in this video you just understand that this is mainly going to use for check out the code from GitHub repository. So this is the checkout code. The complete line we can generate from pipeline syntax. So I'll show you in my next video how we can create this particular line. And next, all lines are just Linux commands, so they are easily understood. In the second stages, we'll use install Maven build tool. So in this particular tool, we'll write a step where we'll just download this Maven package from the Maven repository, and then we'll just untar this particular package. So installation of both Tomcat as well as Apache is just to untar this tar file, and these binaries will execute from the same folder. So nothing else we need to do in order to install Maven and Tomcat. And the third stage will be the compilation stage. So as I told you that we'll run a command mvn compile. So we'll sit on the code and then we'll execute this particular mvn compile command. For that, I have mentioned this dir entry here. So here you can see that I have just placed this directory. So what this line means, that we are just sitting on this address main directory where our source code and test cases and our pom.xml file is placed, and we need to execute this mvn command, because mvn command will only execute to the source code that is has been provided from developer side. So firstly we need to change the directory, then we need to execute the code. So in Jenkins we can do the same by using dir. So it means that we want to execute this mvn compile command from this directory. So this line is saying the same. In the next, we need to just test the sample application. So command and the directory place is same, we just need to change the command mvn test. In order to package the application, we'll use mvn package here. And in order to install Tomcat, so there are certain prerequisites, just like what you can say Java has to be there. So this line, these two lines are related to that. And after that, we need to create a directory, need to change permissions, that I already discussed in my previous slide. So guys, whenever you create any Jenkins pipeline, so be aware about the syntax. So syntax has to be the same, like stage, angle bracket, single quote, everything will be the same. And if you want to comment out anything, just place a forward slash in front of that line. That particular line will get comment out. Okay, our next stage will be install Apache Tomcat server. So here you can see I have placed two forward slashes here. So these two forward slashes in order to make this line commentable, and in the this angle bracket also I have placed these two forward slashes. So this line will also get comment out. So first line and this line will get comment out by using this forward slashes. Rest all execute commands will get execute. So here you can see that we are just doing the same things I have discussed in my previous slide, but one thing, that we need to change the port of Tomcat. So I'll use this command sed-i, and S is for substitute, G is for global. So what we want in this file, whenever it will find any 8080 number there, just replace it with 8081, so that our port will get changed and our Apache Tomcat will get start with 8081 port. Okay, next what we have is the deploy sample application to Tomcat server. So in order to deploy sample application, we just need to place our war file to web apps section of Apache Tomcat binaries. So in this directory, we'll place this war file and we'll be able to access war file from the console. Okay, and one trick I have used, because guys, I have spent I think more than 2 hours in order to make remotely restart your Tomcat from Jenkins. So I found out one solution and I have used this trick here. Just we just need to start Tomcat only with the user. The user we change permission to this particular folder. So that was cloud admin, the user that I'm going to use in this example. So in order to start any process with this particular ID, only root can do, or the person who is having the sudo permission can do this particular restart process. So I have used this run user command and -l, then the username -c, the command that we are going to execute. So by using this command, I was successfully able to start this process using cloud admin user, but the process is getting started in the backend using Jenkins user, because whenever we execute anything from Jenkins, so it comes with Jenkins user. So we make that user more privileged by mentioning some command, and once that is done, after that our Jenkins will be able to run sudo command and it will be able to start this Tomcat server using cloud admin ID. So in this way we'll start our Tomcat server. And one more thing in this syntax, you can see whenever you write any command and that command already having single quote with it. So in our Jenkins, every command we start, we place single quote from first to end. So if single quote is there already, so inside if var lib Jenkins workspace, this particular command is having single quote, so both single quote will not work. So external single quote will remain same, and inside if any command is having single quote, we just need to replace it with double quotes, as you can see. So single quote is outside, and anything inside which already comes with single quote, we just need to make it double quote, because I just found out this command on internet. So that command was having single quote inside it, so I have just replaced it with double quote because I need to place in it with this single quote. Similarly, in case of sed command, I did it for s808081g. Previously when I found it on internet, it was having single quote, but single quote within single quote won't work, so I have just replaced this single quote with double quotes. Okay guys, so here we end with the theory session. So now we'll see practically how we can install Maven, how we can build sample application, how we can install Tomcat, and then how we can deploy our sample application to Tomcat. Okay, so in our example, guys, we are going to use Azure. So in Azure, firstly, I have already shown these things in my previous videos also, but those who are new and those who are not aware about cloud, so they can learn how we can install a particular or how we can build a particular machine in cloud. And once that machine is getting created, we'll install firstly your Jenkins, then we'll install Maven and then Tomcat. We'll build application and we'll create pipeline and then do deployment. So just be with me and just see step by step how we can create a virtual machine on cloud. So firstly, go to resource group, because in cloud, whenever we create any resource, the main external boundary is your resource group. So firstly we need to create resource group and then go to create, and here you can give any resource group name. So let's select test rg. Second thing is the region. So region, always select the region that is closest to you. So I'm creating this video from India, so I'll select a region that is nearest to me. So I can either select South India or can select North India, because these two regions are available only for India. So let's select South India, and once that is done, go for next tagging section. We don't need to place anything here, we can go with the next section, and validation is passed, so we can create this particular resource group. Okay, so resource group test RG has been created. Now we can create our virtual machine. So go to virtual machine, go for create, go for Azure virtual machine, and here you need to select the resource group that you have created. Okay, now we can give any virtual machine name. Let's give test VM machine as a name. Reason, already it is taking South India. Availability option, no infrastructure redundancy required. And security type, keep it as it is. In image, we are going to use Ubuntu server and we'll install everything on this Ubuntu server. And size 2 vCPU, 8 GB is enough for our example, so we can continue with that. We can make a password entry here. So the user that we are going to create is cloud admin that I showed you in slide. So it's cloud admin. Okay, we need to set one password. Okay, we need to confirm the password. Okay, and then 22 port needs to be open because we want to SSH to this machine from outside. So this has to be open. Go to disk section. Here in OS disk type, premium SSD is costly, so you can select standard SSD in order to save some cost, and all these parameters will remain as it is. Go to networking section. So here it will create one virtual network, then subnet, then public IP, and here we just need to check this option because we just want to delete this public IP and NIC whenever this VM will get delete, because post completion of example will delete everything. So we want the resources that is it is going to create, like vnet, subnet, public IP. These will also get deleted by checking this option. Unnecessary, otherwise it will be costly. It will make cost, and we just need to go and manually getting deletion is difficult process. So automatically it will get delete when we'll delete this virtual machine. Go to management section. So here I don't think so anything needs to be checked here. Go to monitoring. So boot diagnostic is not required, so just go for disable option and go to advanced section. Here also we don't need to make anything, keep it as it is. Go to tagging section. We don't want to give as of now any tag to this machine, so let it as it is. Go to review and create section and scroll it down and go for create. So now our virtual machine creation is in progress. It will take few seconds. So once this machine will get completely accessible, then we'll install firstly Jenkins on it. Okay, so this deployment is in progress. As of now it is showing here. So once your machine is ready, then this deployment is completed, will be displayed here. And these all resources, as you can see, these are getting created in the backend. So one NSG, one IP, one VNet, and your test VM. So everything is getting created in the backend. Once all these resources will get created, then deployment will be complete, and our virtual machine will be ready to use. So wait for few seconds. Okay, so deployment is complete. So our virtual machine is now ready. So we can go to resource, and this is basically the public IP. By using this IP, we can access our machine. Okay, so we can access it using putty. Okay, so now use the same username and password that we have given during machine creation. Okay, so our machine is accessible now. So let's do one thing in advance. We need two port number, one for Jenkins, one for Tomcat. So let's open those port number from networking section of this virtual machine. So just go to networking, go for add inbound port rule, and here already 8080 is mentioned, so we don't need to do anything. As of now we are not restricted this particular machine to get access from some specific IP or some specific source and destination, so we are keeping all the option by default because we are just doing a testing, and we don't need that much restriction. So just click on add. So it is saying creating security rule. If you'll refresh, you'll see 8080 port is now enabled from this inbound port rule section. So 8080 you can see here, we just need to enable 8081 also. So just change this port 8081. This is for Apache Tomcat. Keep it all option as it is and click on add. Okay, so this has been created also. We can refresh this page and we can see that 8080 and 8081 both ports are open. So we have opened it because unnecessary we in the end when we were trying to access the Jenkins or Tomcat, because of port that URL was not accessible, maybe we can get that kind of error. So better to open these ports in starting so that those headaches can be removed in the starting. Okay, so now what we can do here, in order to install Jenkins, we can go to Jenkins official documentation site. So here you can mention like Jenkins Linux installation. So it will give you a link, go to that link. So in this link you can see that there is a dependency in order to install Jenkins, which is Java. So firstly install Java. So this is the very first command, execute it. Okay, let's copy another command. Okay, so this command is basically for Java. So it will take few seconds to get Java installed. Once that is installed, we can use java-version command to check whether Java has been successfully installed or not. So wait for few seconds. Okay, so Java is installed now. We can check with java-version command. Okay, so in this command, we can see that JDK or Java has been installed. So we are good with Java. Next, we need to install Jenkins. So we'll go with long-term support and we'll copy these commands one by one and just paste it here. Okay. Okay, second command is done. We need to update. This is the final command to install Jenkins. Let's wait for few seconds. We'll check from the portal once Jenkins is installed that whether Jenkins is accessible or not. Okay, so looks like it is getting installed. Yes, so Jenkins is installed now. So how to access Jenkins? Basically just go to your VM and from this VM just go to overview, copy public IP of this particular virtual machine. Okay, place it here and access it with the help of 8080 port. So now we need to place this administrator password here. So just copy this path, and as this is root node, we need to use sudo command with cat in order to get the password. Okay, so this is the password. Copy it and paste it here. Go with continue. So in this page, guys, we need to click on install suggested plugins because Jenkins suggested that these plugins has to be there in order to start working on Jenkins. So please just click on this install suggested plugins. Okay, so now you can see that these green tick is the signal that these plugins are getting installed. So this will take some time. So give it a minute or 1.5 minutes, then all the plugins will get installed. Once these plugins will get installed, then we'll go and we'll do Jenkins pipeline creation. Okay. Okay, so it is taking some time. So let's go to our pipeline code in the meanwhile. So guys, the pipeline code that I showed you in my slide, I have placed that pipeline code in this particular notepad. So what we'll do, we'll just create one project and we'll create pipeline project in our demo, and there I'll just place this particular code. I'll copy this code and then we'll paste this code. So similarly, in the slide that I was showing you, that first stage will be going to be a checkout code stage, and then in the next stage we'll be having build tool stage, then compilation of sample application, then test of sample application, then packaging of sample application, and then we'll be having prerequisite installation, which is basically the Java installation in our case. And post completion of that, we'll install Apache Tomcat server. And once that Tomcat server is getting installed, we'll just deploy our sample application to the Tomcat server, and we'll access Tomcat server and we'll see what this application is doing. So this application is, guys, basically the application that I found it on internet. So let me show you from where I have found it out. So just go to internet, and here if you'll just write address book Maven, so you will find one repository here like simple address book example application. So from here I just got this code. This is a very good example. If you want to get some kind of testing related to application build, you can use this example. I have used and it was working, so you can just use this example. So what you need to just do, you go to code section and just copy this particular URL, and you can just place this URL in your checkout code under URL section. So what I did, I have just copied this code and placed in my own GitHub repository, because when I tried to get this code in the form of Maven compilation command and test command, so what I found that test cases were not there. But I just want to show you how test cases can be executed with ambient test command. So I just found out in one of the previous versions of this particular address book within GitHub repository. So there I found out, so I just downloaded that particular version related to the source code and just placed it over there so that I can show you the test code. But if you'll do it from here, then you'll not be able to see the test code, uh, sorry, the test cases. That's why I have just placed it on my GitHub repository here. So let's see what's the status of Jenkins. Okay, all the plugins are now installed, so this page will come to you. You can create one username here. Okay, just make it according to your choice. Any username and password you can make, there is no restriction here. Okay, so this is done. You can click on start using Jenkins. Okay, so this is basically your Jenkins portal. You can see here we'll go to new item, and here you can give any project. Suppose test we have given here. We can select pipeline project. We can click on OK, and here you don't need to do anything. You just need to go to the pipeline section, and the code that I have placed here, just select this complete code and paste it here. Okay, so we are good. Just do a save, and if we'll go to dashboard, you can see one test project is created, and you just need to click on this build now button. Now you can see that this particular job one is getting executing now, and your pipeline execution you can see here. So it is doing all the steps, but one by one you can see as of now. And when you'll execute it second time, then you'll see the complete pipeline from first stage to end stage in the previous section of your previous build. So let's wait, it is getting compiled now. So what you can see, that checkout code is green, so it means checkout stage is successfully executed. Second is install Maven build tool, so that is also getting successfully completed. And in the third we have compile sample application, so this code is getting execute in the backend. So as of now it is executing, so let's wait for few seconds. Once it will get complete, then it will go to the next section or next stage, you can say. So it is now doing compile sample application, then it will do test sample application, and then package sample application. So as of now it is doing compilation. Okay, compilation is complete. Now it is doing testing of sample application. So as of now I'm not showing you what going on in logs, but let it be complete. And once it will get complete, then I'll go to the log section and then I'll show you what it is doing with these particular stages. So testing is also completed, as we can see it in green. Okay, so till now you can see that packaging of the application is successfully completed, but our three stages got failed. So I know why it got failed, because I told you earlier that I faced a lot of challenge in order to start Jenkins remotely. Because of that, Jenkins less privileged user, it is not able to do the things that it needs to do. So we'll make it more privileged. I'll show you how. So one thing, it's getting clear that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages are getting successfully executed with green. And here in the Tomcat prerequisite installation and installation Apache's Tomcat server, and then deployment is getting failed. So if any one stage is getting unsuccessful or failed, then the stage post to that stage will get failed. So if one is getting red, rest all after that will get red. So one thing we need to do in order to make that Apache user more privileged. So just give me a minute. I'll make some settings. So we'll go to this particular box and okay, let's first go to logs. What logs are saying? Console output. Okay. So click on full log. So from here you can see that the first stage is getting executed with the help of cloning. So it is cloning this particular repository, and once that is done, in the next stage it is just downloading this Apache binaries from the Apache official site, and this is downloading that particular file. And once that is downloaded, then it is doing an untar of this file which is required. So untarring is done, and post untar then it is doing ambient compile command. So you can see this is getting compiled, and here you can see that compilation is getting done. And one thing you are seeing, like downloading, so it means that it is downloading all the dependencies from Maven repository, Maven central repository, that I told you in my slides, that if dependency is not present on the local machine, then it will get download from that particular repo central site, which is Maven official site. And similar way it is doing the same thing here. It is downloading all the plugins, and it is downloading. There are a lot of plugins it is getting downloading. And once all these plugins are get it downloading, this is very first time, so it is downloading everything. But next time when we'll execute this pipeline, then it will not get download again. So that's why there are a lot of downloading in progress. So it is downloading all those binaries, that's why it took time. And let's see what error we are getting here. So in the end you can see, like, a terminal is required to read the password, either use -s option or the standard input in order to ask password, because these commands are getting executed by a Jenkins user and it is asking for the password of Jenkins. So we'll make one setting so that it will not ask password, and Jenkins will become more privileged user in order to make commands dynamically executing from Jenkins to this particular machine. So we'll make some changes here. We need to make permission. 755 permission we need to give to etc sudoers file. Okay, now we can open this sudoer file. Okay, so in this way we need to make one setting here. So firstly we need to go to insert mode. Okay, so it is saying that it is a read-only file, so we need to commit with the sudo user. We'll come out to this file and we'll open with sudo. Okay, now it is not saying that it is a read-only file, so we need to make one entry here. Go to insert mode and just make Jenkins more privileged. So type Jenkins and here type all equals to bracket, then you need to type all and then space and then no passwd colon all. So this is the entry, so it will not ask for password and it will become Jenkins now becomes sudo user. So I think the entry is correct, so let's see whether it works or not. Okay, so we'll save these two changes with wq command and Jenkins all equals to all no pass wd colon all. Okay, so this is now saved. So let's execute that pipeline again and see whether it works or not. So go to this and just click on build now. Okay, so as you can see now that previously it took 2 seconds and now it took only milliseconds in order to get this code downloaded, because it took it from there already, it's already on their machine. So now this is also very fast, compilation section is also very fast, testing is also very fast, because all the dependencies are now present on the local machine, so it is not getting downloading from there. So till now we were green. Let's see what Tomcat prerequisite is. Okay, so this time it is green, so looks like our setting is working. It is now installing Apache Tomcat server, so it is done, and now it is deploying. Okay, so deployment of sample application is also done. So one thing you can see that all these things are now green, so our pipeline successfully got execute and deployment of sample application is also done. So how we'll access, let's see what's the status of our Tomcat server. So we'll use the same IP of the machine, but okay, copied, and we have changed its port to 8081. So let's see. Okay, so we are inside our Tomcat URL. So in order to access our manager, we just need to go to manager app, and you can see it is popping up for the username and the password. So it is the same that we did in tomcat-users.xml file. Use the same username and password here. Okay. Let's try. Okay, so it is working now. It is using that username and password. We make changes in that particular tomcat-users.xml file, and here you can see address book is coming. So this is basically our application. So our application is working now. So this is one application, a sample application that I found very good example. So what it do, whenever we want to add any contact, we can just click on new contact and we can add first name, last name, email and other things that is required. And once we'll do a save, those entry will come in this particular columns. In these particular columns, we'll see that individual first name, last name and email. So let's check how this application work. So first name we can give like any name you can give, like test you can save. In the last you can give user, phone number, anything you can give. There is no restriction or no checking for that valid phone number or something. And here also you can give anything like test@test.com. Okay, then you can select the birth date. So any date you can select. There is no restriction, just do a save. So here you can see like your test first name and last name user and test email, everything is getting populated here. So I found this example very useful, so I just took it and I and it was working successfully. So the best thing is that it was working. So here we have just seen that how we can create a particular pipeline in Jenkins, which is a declarative pipeline, and how we can install firstly the Maven build tool, how we can build the sample application, how we can deploy the sample application post installation of Tomcat server. So guys, if you like this content, so just like this video, and if you like these, if you want to get these kinds of content, then just subscribe to my channel. And I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you in my next video.